Scary Reddit stories. My university paid me to stay silent for one night. Let's do that. My university is performing strange overnight studies. I first learned about them during my second semester when I was down to less than $40 in my checking account. The flyer was pinned to a bulletin board outside the psychology building. Overnight silent study. Compensation $2,000. Duration 1 night. Requirements: must remain awake, must remain silent. Holy shit. I don't know if it's real or made up. Awake? God damn. Okay. Must follow all instruction provided by research staff. If interested, please go to Psi 213 Studies and Tests on the second floor of the psych building. I must have read it 10 times. $2,000 for 1 night was ridiculous. It was more money than I made in a month working part-time at the campus bookstore. At the bottom of the flyer was a handwritten note. Participants who leave early will not be compensated. For some reason, that line bothered me more than anything else. Not because I would leave early, because whoever added that felt like people would want to leave. I want to know, is this a chick or a boy? Let me go back up. What's this person's name? Okay, don't know. My empty wallet is what finally made up my mind. Taking the flyer in my hand, I entered the building and headed to the second floor. On the other side of the door marked Psi 213 was a small waiting room with a handful of chairs. And at the far side of the room was a hallway guarded by a small desk. Sitting behind the desk was a young woman, not much older than me. As I entered, she looked up and smiled. "Hello," she said pleasantly. "Can I help you?" Yes," I said as I walked up to the desk. I was actually wondering if there is still time to sign up for this. I slid the flyer across the desk to her. As she saw it, her smile lowered slightly, and she quickly glanced up at me before her eyes returned to the paper and her smile again widened. "The silent study? Yes. There are still slots available. Do you like to sign up?" Burst of excitement ran through my body. "Yes, I love to. $2,000 is too good to pass up." She forced a laugh before asking for my information. She took down my name, phone number, emergency contact, and medical history. After she had everything she needed, she said, "All right. I think I have everything. You will need to be at Gardner Building by 9 p.m. this coming Tuesday. The study will take place in vacant dorms at the top level. You are welcome to bring with you any books or homework you want, but please don't bring anything that can play songs or movies. Since this is a silent study, those aren't allowed." I nodded quickly. "Gardner Building at 9 p.m. on Tuesday. Got it." As I turned to leave, she said, "Oh, one more thing. I nearly forgot." I turned back around. She slid a packet across the desk. "Please read and sign this consent forms." The packet was nearly an inch thick. I didn't even bother to read it all. Just signed the last one as I left. The secretary called after me, "Good luck." Okay, this motherfucker probably just signed up for cock and ball torture. I don't know if this is real. Story's being told too well, but maybe they just remember it very well, I guess. Tuesday came quickly as I spent the day sleeping and putting together a backpack full of snacks and books for the night ahead of me. Pear, let's calm down. Baby, let's take a, yeah, there you go. Go sleep on the bed. Tuesday came quickly as I spent the day sleeping and putting together a backpack full of snacks and books for the night ahead of me. By 8:50 p.m., I was standing in front of the Gardner Building. A few moments later, a balding man in his 40s came out and asked me, "Are you here for the study?" I swallowed hard before nodding. "Yes, sir." "Great. Please follow me." He led me inside and into the building's elevator, hitting the button for floor 5. We headed to the top. The elevator opened to a hallway, dimmingly illuminated by fluorescent yellow lights. The hallway was nearly identical to the other dorm halls on campus, only this one was strangely lifeless. It felt as no one has used this floor in years. The man led me further down the hall before stopping in front of room 504. "Here's where you'll be staying tonight. Just, we have installed security cameras everywhere, except in the bathroom, just so we can confirm that you remain silent all night. We have also installed an intercom system." You installed that shit, fool? How much money is going into it? Well, I mean, I guess they're paying motherfuckers $2,000. I looked at him confused. What's that for?" He responded, "At the beginning of every hour, we will announce the time for you. If everything goes well, this will be the only voice you hear all night." I have a feeling that it's like they're not allowed to talk, and then it's basically they'll tell them they won't do the hours right. They'll do like 30 minutes, 3 hours, wait, tell them the time, you know what I mean? The answer wasn't particularly reassuring, but $2,000 had a way of making concerns feel smaller. I turned the doorknob and I walked in. The man said, "Remember, you are free to leave at any time, but just know that those who leave early will not be compensated." With that, he reached in and closed the door. I heard the quiet click of the door locking and realized that the study started now. This is like McCaney Manor, you know? McCaney Manor. This is definitely fake though, yeah. Like McCaney Manor, they give you the packet you gotta sign, and it's like basically you're signing away your life. I turned to face the room, finding it to be not much different from my own dorm room. It was quietly lit by a single overhead light and a small lamp that stood on the desk in the corner. The floor was carpeted, and a lofted bed took up one full wall. Beneath it was a small reading chair and a mini fridge. Across from the bed was a full-size wardrobe and a poster of a cat hanging on a branch with the phrase "hang in there." The outside wall was a home to a large window that granted a view of the courtyard. Holy shit, Elvis, why are we not talking right? Ha! Unlike my dorm, this one had a short hallway shooting off to the right of the door. Here was a tiny kitchenette with a few cabinets and a sink. There was a miniature coat closet. At the end of the hall was a door to a small bathroom with a toilet, sink, and tight shower. Instinctively, I opened my mouth to comment on the room before remembering I wasn't supposed to speak again until morning. Taking the backpack off my back, I pulled out one of the books and took a seat in the chair. Bro, I feel like not speaking, bro, I'm chilling full. Maybe not now, but back in the day I could. Now I yap too much on stream that it's like in my brain to yap all the time. Bro, I'll catch myself fucking commentating on me, like I'll be alone outside, like opening the car door, and I'll be commentating that shit like I'm on stream. First hour was boring. I didn't leave the chair, nor did I put the book down. I jumped an hour later when a loud monotone voice broke through the silence. "It is now 10 p.m. I released a breath I hadn't realized I was holding. Rebuked myself in my head for so quickly forgetting about the intercom before returning to my book. At 10:30, I needed a break from reading. The words on the page were starting to hurt my eyes. Standing up, I stretched and began to absent-mindedly examine the dorm. Okay, big word, motherfucker. I opened all the cabinets in the kitchenette, but only found a few cups and bowls. I stared out the window, watching my fellow students come and go. And I went to the bathroom and opened the closet, which was empty except for a single winter jacket. Finally, I opened the wardrobe, and as I did, a crumbled piece of paper fell to the ground. Seeing that something was written on it, I picked it up, and here's what it said. Okay, dude, yeah, sure you found this shit. If you found this, read it before midnight. The researchers won't tell you everything. Stay silent. Not don't talk, stay silent. The researchers are studying what happens when nobody speaks. Do not interfere with the observation. If another participant enters your room, do not acknowledge them. Participants are assigned one room each. If the intercom asks you a question, the study has ended. Leave immediately. The hourly announcements should only happen on the hour. If the intercom speaks at any other time, cover your ears and do not listen to what it says. Do not look in the hallway between 1:13 a.m. and 1:20 a.m. If someone knocks 3 times, ignore it. But if someone knocks 4 times, move away from the door immediately. If you hear crying from the bathroom, do not investigate. If the lights go out, close your eyes and count to 100. If you see someone standing in the courtyard staring at your window, close the blinds and do not open them for 2.5 hours. At some point during the night, you will hear your own voice. It will ask you a question. Do not answer. If the intercom announces it is now 3:07 a.m., hide in the closet until another announcement is made. Whatever happens, do not open the wardrobe a second time. I couldn't help but roll my eyes after reading it. Clearly someone who did the study before me got bored and wanted to prank the next participant. I crumbled up the paper and tossed it into the trash can. After filling a glass of water and grabbing a snack, I returned to the chair in my book. Yeah, these motherfuckers here, this is too much. Too much is going on now. It's okay, I make fun of your yapping, but it's generally funny sometimes. You do have good VODs with your yapping, so understandable. I gotta remember to post my VODs to my VOD YouTube page. I forget to do that every single time I stream. What the fuck? Okay. I glanced up from my book at 11 when the intercom announced, it is now 11 p.m. Hold on. This is one thing I'm getting confused. They keep on doing like, oh, 1:13 a.m., 1:20, and the dude was like, when it was 10:30. I thought there was no clock, and I thought they only know time by announcements. I feel like there's some loopholes in the story, but I am liking it to an extent. I scanned the room slowly. After 2 hours of silence, I felt like the room itself had grown louder. Every squeak and groan of the building felt far louder than it should be. After glancing around the room a few times, I returned to my book. Around 11:40, I started feeling drowsy, so I stood up, did some jumping jacks, and ran in place for a while to keep the blood flowing. I was on the toilet when the clock struck midnight. The intercom declared, "It is now 12 a.m. I finished in the bathroom and returned to my book. I nearly jumped out of my skin when 20 minutes later, at 12:20, the intercom said, "Participant 3 is now reading a book." 20 minutes later at 12:20, okay, I didn't know it was 12:20. All right. I lowered my book and looked around quickly. That was weird. I thought it was only for telling the time. And am I participant 3? I sat frozen for a few minutes, waiting to hear anything else. I noticed a low hum that hadn't been there before. But after waiting for 10 minutes, I stood up and grabbed a snack from my bag. As I did, the intercom said, "Participant 3 is eating." Okay, this is what I will say about this story. I understand the concept of it telling time, but the narrator is also overly obsessed with time and telling me the time, and I can see it's gonna happen more. Maybe there's a meaning behind it, but it's like, bro, you don't gotta be so persistent. 10 minutes. I froze mid-chew. I looked up at the little camera in the corner staring at me. Why would they announce my actions like this? The hum grew louder as I returned to my chair. At 12:39, the intercom spoke again. "Participant 3 is breaking the rules." I looked around in confusion. What rule had I broken? I hadn't said anything. The hum was now so loud that it was hurting my ears. 5 minutes later, at 12:44, the intercom announced, "Participant 3 is going to die." Isn't the motherfucker not supposed to listen to anything else, I thought? Panic filled my mind as the hum grew painfully loud. It felt like my brain was going to explode. But in that moment, I remembered the note I had thrown away that in Rule 4, I squeezed my hands over my ears. Even with them covered, I could feel vibrations radiating through my hand. But after a few moments, it stopped. Cautiously, I removed my hands from my ears, and everything was perfectly quiet again. The hum was gone, as if it had never been there. Sweat formed on my forehead as I moved to the trash can and unwrinkled the balled up paper. I stared at the rules for several minutes. Okay, but now you can't tell me the exact amount of minutes, okay. But then I heard the jiggle of keys and the sound of someone fumbling with a lock before I turned and saw the front door swing wide open. At the door stood a man who looked roughly my age. He had shaggy blonde hair, wore shorts and sandals, and a sweatshirt bearing the school's logo. There was a bag at his feet. He looked at me and smiled. "Hey man," he said. "Hey man," he said. Why the fuck is it saying he said after that? Okay. "Hey man, guess we're going to be roommates. What's your name?" "I'm Chris." I'm too confused to answer, but he kept going. "What's your major?" "Mine's business." "Are you pumped up as I am to be here?" I was about to answer, but the rules in my hand caught my eye. Rule number 2. If another participant enters your room, do not acknowledge them. Participants are assigned one room each. I felt cold as I read it. "What you got there?" the man asked me as he noticed the sheet in my hand. I lowered my eyes to the floor and didn't respond. He went quiet as he walked closer to me. He stood mere inches from me. "You hit one of these, look down, not even talking, and then just start gazing at the fucking wall." Because I'm not acknowledging the motherfucker, but you do one of those Dwayne The Rock Johnson stares. "Is that orientation information?" he said as he pointed at the paper. "Why don't you give that to me?" he asked smoothly. I instinctively pulled my hand away, but as I did, he screamed, "Give it to me!" My hand shook as I folded the paper and put it in my pocket. He grunted and said, "Look at me! Look at me!" Yo, why did we just do Homelander shit? I feel like this might be AI made. What does that mean? You're gonna beat me up? I might, dude. I'll have to think about it. I swallowed as I closed my eyes. I could feel his hot breath on my face. It smelled rotten. I stood there with my eyes closed for what felt like hours. When I opened them again, he was gone. The door was shut and locked. It was 12:57 a.m. So we have a clocker now, because I thought shit get announced to us. I was a wreck. The rules in my pocket must be real. I wanted to leave. I wanted to get out of there. and never come back. But after what I experienced, I seriously doubted that I truly could leave. It felt safer to listen to the rules and make it through the night. After taking a few minutes to calm my nerves, I pulled out the rules and reviewed them. Rule 5. Do not look into the hallway between 1:13 a.m. and 1:20 a.m. It was 1:05. I looked at the little hallway leading to the bathroom, wondering what could possibly happen there in 8 minutes. Whatever it is, I wouldn't be looking. The chair faced the door, and I could see the hallway from where it sat, so I turned the chair to face the window. As I did, I glanced out the window. There, in the courtyard, was a tall figure, holding a single lit candle in its hand, and it stared directly into the window. I couldn't tell how far away it was. I only knew it hadn't been there a moment ago. Without hesitation, I shut the curtains and set a timer for 2.5 hours. A timer on what though, okay? What did he set the timer on? Like, he's giving us a lot of information about random shit, but it seems like we're not getting information about, he set a timer on what, fool? I thought he had nothing but snacks and homework. Why are you actually good at reading? Bro, I'm good at doing the one part, like voicing it, but I be fucking up on words, fool, because I be reading, like my brain be moving too fast. Pear, baby, come here, baby. On my lap, okay? Why don't we read this story together? Why don't you read the story with me? Come on, baby. Oh, come on, lay with me while I read this, alright, baby? Big mama, alright? Without hesitation, I shut the curtains and set a timer for 2.5 hours. As I did, shh, baby, I felt the room become noticeably colder. Hey, baby, look, I'm holding you. I'm right here. Come on, kissy. The hairs on the back of my neck stood up as I heard the sound of dishes moving coming from the hallway. I didn't dare to even turn around. I couldn't risk seeing what was in the hallway. It sounded like someone was trying to cook a meal. I heard the sound of vegetables being chopped and a pot of water being boiled. Even though the kitchenette I saw didn't have a stove, every now and then I heard someone trying to whistle a tune, but it was a monotone and lacked any sense of music. Around the 6-minute mark, I heard a quiet, dry voice say to itself, need to get some rosemary. So this motherfucker is worried about, now he's picky on, this dude don't got a good taste of music, don't have a sense of music. Get out of town, dude, you're worried about the wrong shit. Then I heard heavy footsteps leave the hallway. They crossed the carpet slowly, one step then another, then silence. Complete silence. I could no longer tell where it was. I was about to turn around when directly in my right ear I heard a mocking whisper, "You're still here, huh?" After that, I heard footsteps walk away and the sound of the door slamming. I slowly turned around. It was 1:21 a.m. Everything was pretty quiet for a while at 2:30. Loud wailing came from the bathroom and lasted about 20 minutes. After it stopped, I cracked the bathroom door open. It was empty. Sometime after 3:20, I was getting pretty tired. The silence was making my eyes heavy. And right as I started nodding off, the lights went out. The darkness pumped adrenaline through my veins. From the bathroom, I could hear a clicking sound. It sounded like a dog with long nails walking across a hardwood floor. It was getting closer. Remembering the rule, I squeezed my eyes shut, began counting to myself. That's so funny. I know exactly how that sounds. Paris has like nails walking on the wood. Sounds exactly like that. 2, 3, 4, 5. The sound was right in front of me. The sound stopped, and directly in front of me, I heard creaking bones. 20, 21, 22, 23. A cold, bony hand gently caressed the side of my face. I squeezed my eyes tighter. 30, 31, 32, 33. A raspy voice vibrated off of a long, dead vocal cords. Just open your eyes. My throat went dry as I continued counting in my head. 45, 46, 47, 48. A damp, rough tongue licked the side of my face. 67, 68, 69. 70. Right as I hit 100, the lights flipped back on. Even through my closed eyes, the sun brightness was a shock. I opened to see the empty room just the way I left it, though my cheek was still slightly wet. For the next 2 hours, I hid in the bathroom. I figured that since the only rule involving the bathroom had already happened, it was probably the safest place. I sat on the toilet lid waiting, hoping time would move faster. Near 5:15 a.m., I heard a quiet voice behind me. "You sure have been quiet for a long time." It was my voice, not in my head, but in my ears. It was my exact voice, like I was listening to it on a recording. I tried to ignore it. "Why'd you stop talking to Mom before she died?" I clenched my teeth. "How did it know about Mom?" It asked again. "Why did you stop talking to Mom before she died?" And again, from 5:15 until the sun rose, it asked the same question over and over again. I couldn't take it. I was near my breaking point when the sun peeked over the horizon. As it did, the voice stopped. Everything was quiet once more. Between sunrise at 7:30 and 8:30, nothing happened. I braced myself for the worst, for something terrible to jump out of the wardrobe, but nothing did. At exactly 9 a.m., the intercom announced, "It's 9 a.m., the study is complete. Do you have any questions?" I immediately rose from the chair, grabbed my bag, and headed out of the now unlocked door. By the elevator stood the same man from last night. He smiled and said, "Congratulations, dude, on remaining silent the whole night. Your time has been very beneficial to our study." He handed me a check for $2,000 and what looked like a business card. "Here's your pay. If you'd like to participate in any of our future studies, please call the number." I stared at him in silence. "Please follow me," he said, ushering me into the elevator. I decided to go home to my dad's for a while. I'm even thinking of transferring schools. I just can't be there right now. I'm writing this late at night while I'm lying in my bed. I haven't spoken much since this all happened. I'm scared something will hear me. My clock just hit 3:07, and as it did, a cold, mechanical voice just filled the room. It is now 3:07 a.m. I think it was pretty good. Now, the thing for me, when I be reading full, I don't even be comprehending. So I don't know anything what just happened. I don't remember a single thing besides the last thing I read, 3:07 a.m. I couldn't stop reading. Need more, please. I started out being chilling and held my attention the entire time. Nice work. I feel like I could write one of these better. You were so slow. Why was you reading? Jackass.